Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Pokemon Emerald Nuzlock Randomizer. Just to catch you up on what we did in between episodes, we did some training on Bowser, Zaboomafoo, Spaghetti, and we may have leveled up Tundra. I'm not sure because we did have to do a bit of switch training early on, but we managed all around. And also, Truant just proved to be a bit of an annoying ability. Like I said, hopefully when it evolves into Vigoroth, if its ability does end up swapping, we'll keep it as a Vigoroth. And we'll pick up a Pokeball here. I wasn't sure what item it would be, but I do remember there being a secret item. But yeah, so if it does keep Truant, odds are it will either become an HM slave for whatever we need. If not, it may end up just being a backup Pokemon in the PC. The other thing is I checked a couple Nuzlocks online and I re-referenced the rules, and I'm still unsure as to whether or not the second floor of this cave should count by the rules as a separate encounter slot. I found some other Emerald Nuzlocke YouTubers, some treating it as a separate one and some not, based on the fact that in the regular Pokemon Emerald games, it's different encounters. That's where you'd find Aeron versus up here the Abras, and yeah, so I think I'm going to treat it as a separate one, especially considering the amount of bad RNG we've gotten. I figure it might make up for the fact that we got a bunch of water types. And so we're going to treat this battle right here as our separate encounter. And we get a Wynot, which is, sorry, not a Wynot, a Wobbuffet. That's interesting. It could replace Bowser as our psychic type. Bowser needed to get to level 25 before it learned Confusion, I believe, if not maybe Psyshock. But regardless, I didn't want to overlevel it to level 25 off screen that far because I feel like that takes away from the series. So depending on Wobbuffet's moveset, we might see it feature in the team. We're definitely going to go for the capture on it, and I think we might be able to with the Pokeball. And we'll see if our RNG is, and it's not. I'm going to hit it with another tackle in that case. The Destiny Bond isn't going to do much. No, we're going to hit it with another tackle, I'd said. But yeah, so that was a bit of a risky one, but it paid off. And yeah, so for this episode, I'm going to try and keep it a bit shorter. We're going to tackle the cave and ideally leave the gym for the next episode. So I do believe that if Wobbuffet has good moves, we'll probably end up training it off screen and replacing Bowser for the next episode. I'm going to throw a Great Ball just to try and make this a bit quicker. I think that with the red health, that might be enough to get the capture. It's not. We're going to throw the second one. Especially because I think for the most part, the next encounters we're going to have will be at Slateport, or once we have access to Slateport. So ideally, we'll be able to purchase more Great Balls at that point as opposed to buying more Pokeballs. And we're going to have to just run out on Pokeballs for this by this point in time. And hopefully we can get it. I suppose I could hit it with a Yawn as well. That might help. To be honest, I'd forgotten he had that move. So we're going to throw out the Yawn. And then on the next turn, we'll keep going with our balls and move forward with the sleep condition once he does fall asleep. And yeah, so I think the strategy moving forward for the short term is going to be to use the type advantages in the gyms. Hopefully, like I said in the last episode, we can find a ground or rock type Pokemon for the third gym. But in the case that we don't, I'll probably use more of my backup Pokemon that I didn't see lasting long term. So I'd avoid using our Tundra, and if Bowser remains as the only Psychic, we'll definitely prioritize him. So at that point, we'd probably end up using the Spaghetti and Vigoroth if it's usable. But ideally, we do get a better type coverage before then. And this Wobbuffet is proving to be a bit hard to catch. I'm not sure whether or not it has a high or low catch rate, but I feel like with the sleep condition and the low health, this might be it. And yes, it is. So we add another Pokemon to the team. As far as a nickname goes, I'm not quite sure because, to be honest, I've never had a Wobbuffet in a playthrough of any Pokemon game. let's just go with... Let's go with Whopper. I feel like that's a suiting name for him. Or her, pardon me. So that's our encounter for this end of the cave. I'm not going to treat any of the other floors as separate encounters. I feel like one was fair enough. We have a high HP, lower attacking stats, and not much as far as attacking goes. So we're going to have to switch train it off episode. And then prevents the foe's escape, which might be useful depending on... Well, it might be useful if we can get a nice status inflicting move on it, because then we could use that as our battler for wild encounters in case we did ever find, you know, an Entei, a Raikou, a Suicune, a Pokemon that would run from us. And I'm going to switch out of Bowser and just try and keep this cave run going. I think we got Flash in the last episode. I'm just not sure if we ended up teaching it to anyone. We'll teach it to Bowser, honestly. And we'll get rid of Curse. I figure with Water, we already have Meryl and Tundra as stabs, so I'm not going to focus Water-type stabs onto Bowser. Psychic-type moves will be useful, especially if we do keep them long run. It would be useful to have one stab Psychic user. Oh, and we do need the badge before we use that. So, in fact, what we're going to do is come down here. And I believe we can tackle the cave before we do the gym. A Dawn fan would have been very nice had that been our encounter, but unfortunately it was not. And I do believe it does learn ground and rock type moves pretty early on in its move pool. We're going to see a nice little variety of interactions. A Snubble would not have been ideal. It would have been a nice neutral normal type to replace the Vigoroth, although I'm not sure its move pool or base stats are nearly as good as Vigoroth's. So, in a way, it's not really a loss. Yeah, again, we're going to see the Snubble. I'm just going to keep running just because I don't think we need to train at this point in the episode. And we should be able to meet Steven before the gym. If not, I might have severely mistaken myself for this. A Dugong would have been another annoying encounter had we found that, because it's the same as Tundra in terms of type coverage. And again, worse stats than Tundra, so we have no use for it. It's interesting that we ran into quite a few legendary and pseudo-legendaries at the early stages of the playthrough. We were at the earlier routes, because now we're starting to get a lot of generic encounters, which is, I feel, a bit more genuine. I feel like if we had caught that Mewtwo and if we did have a Latios, it would well, speak of the devil, there's a Mew, so that's kind of funny that I said that. But if we did load up on legendaries that early on, I feel like it might have altered the ease of the playthrough, especially with Mewtwo. Had we gotten like a psychic type attack, it would just stab its way through all the earlier gyms. So we do make it through that tunnel without Flash. Quite annoying to have had to do so, but... And a Jirachi, wow. So Mew, Jirachi, Mewtwo, and Latios all having been possible encounters. A Jirachi would have been a little bit more interesting to have in the party. Mewtwo would have been a definite, a killer in terms of stats and moves, and then Mew would have been an interesting one because it could learn a lot of moves. We could teach it a lot of stuff. So we're going to give the letter to Steven here. So we hand over the letter. Thank you. I went through all this trouble to deliver that. I need to thank you. Let me see. I'll give you this TM. It contains my favorite move, Steel Wing, which is probably a bit useless for us at this point in the playthrough, but we'll definitely hold on to it in case we get a flying type. And let's register one another in the Pokénavs. So we get his number, and that will be that. Now I've got to hurry along, and he rushes out of the cave. Now, interestingly, obviously I'm not going to treat this as a separate encounter either. Like I said, we're going to keep the one encounter rule for the cave on top of the main room, because I feel like that was fair enough given the Aeron encounters in the regular wild encounter map. So that's the cave done. And like I said, I think we're going to keep this episode a bit more short. A Silcoon would have been a very unfortunate encounter as well. Though Beautifly wouldn't have been the worst Pokemon to have. It would have given us a fly, but in terms of types and moves and stats in general, it would not have added much to us. So that's going to be the end of our episode for today, just to recap a little bit. So we got Tundra to level 20, Zabumafu to level 14. I purposely didn't evolve him off screen. Like I said in the first episode, I'm going to keep evolutions within the episodes. We got Bowser to level 19 because I was trying to find if I could see a psychic type attack on him. But eventually I just Googled it, and he learns a psychic type at 25, and I felt that was too far ahead. Spaghetti we got to level 17 and had learned Absorb, and we replaced Ingrain. And then obviously we got Whopper today, and hopefully by the next episode I'll do a bit of research and a bit of training on her, and we'll see if we can make it a usable Pokemon. So thanks for watching another episode of the Pokemon Emerald Nuzlock Randomizer. Next episode we take on the gym. Dewford Town Pokemon Gym. Leader Brawly. A big wave in fighting. So thank you very much again. See you next time.